something that will continue at least for another 50 to 75 years.
Thank you. And Mr. Jayantabuyan, you have been pioneering the passive infrastructure in energy assets, and very interesting. Do you see significant scope here, given that the first time we are seeing oil companies willing to not to own assets but give out assets outside?
Worldwide, our promoter, Oil Tanking GmbH, a German company, who have tied up with IOC for this company in India. They are the second largest terminaling company and operating in 21 countries, 4 continents. In India, when we started, this was a brand new concept, and the independent terminaling or common user terminals provide tremendous economic advantage, because from the same terminal you can serve multiple customers. For example, our terminal in Bombay, which we set up in 1998, we serve all the top public sector companies, IOC, BPC, HPC, ONGC, the private sector companies, Reliance, SR, Shell. And thereby, as we do worldwide, we bring tremendous economy of scale, both in terms of capital costs as well as in terms of operating costs. The same story we repeated successfully in Goa when we set up a terminal there to serve Zuari Industries for the naphtha requirements, and also BPC and HPC for the retail requirements. And they were convinced about the economics. And now more so, we are pleased to see that the Government of India has recognized that and have advised the oil companies to go for this option, which brings the best interests of the customers as well as the oil companies to the fore. In terms of standards, what happens is, for oil companies, the core business is refining and marketing, not running terminals. Whereas worldwide, as a terminaling company, we focus on operating standard, HSSE standards, quality standard, operation standards, training standards, in a manner where the best standards are continuously achieved and exceeded. And I'm happy to say that in India, we have created similar standards, and which has enabled us now to convince the public sector and the government that the outsourcing to a top quality service provider is a good option. Traditionally, marketing and distribution terminals have been the only terminals in India, but as we all know now, India is now a hub for refining, and huge surpluses are being created in refining capacity as well as product available in the country. And simultaneously, we have the concept of special economic zones coming up. For example, in the Mundra port is a special economic zone, and where the free economic zones are there, and where you have the opportunity of bringing in and taking out products and crude oil without payment of import duty or customs duty freely on a global basis, there is tremendous scope for creating trading hubs. Mundra, for example, could be a trading hub as big as Singapore or Amsterdam or Antwerp or Houston. And right now we are talking to the Adani Group as to how to create such a possibility at Mundra. Similar possibilities also exist on the west coast, where new ports are coming out in the private sector, whether it is Gangavaram or Krishnapatnam or Kudalore or Paradip. And India has a tremendous advantage in terms of location, and so for both the Asia Pacific side as well as the Europe and US side. So we see going forward in the next 3 to 5 years tremendous opportunity for growth in terminals, both for marketing and distribution point of view, and also from trading hub point of view.
Thank you. And Krish, most important, you've been, Skill Group has been a pioneer investing into the infrastructure space much before many people came in, and you've been through this thick and thin of what's happened. How do you see the environment today compared to when you guys started more than a decade ago? And the opportunities and challenges today, are they different, or and how exciting is it today?
Well, I don't think today you need to sell infrastructure to anybody. Nor do you need to sell infrastructure in India to anybody. But I think when it started in 1990, as far as Skill Group is concerned, I think private sector participation itself was unknown. The entire infrastructure space was in the government sector. So I think the biggest change is, I think Indian government has done a great thing in that recognizing private sector participation is critical to let this sector grow. I think that has changed completely. So private sector is in the lead. Clearly, you need some kind of a PPP model in almost any sector. Because infrastructure is such a space where you need public space, public utilities, and public this thing. So it needs to be a combination. But conception, development, execution by the private sector in a congenial environment. I'm not saying it's all congenial. I think we're going to talk about land and other issues later. I think it's a sea change. I think it augurs well. But given the gaps, we all know that, so no need to repeat. I think whatever we do is not enough in one way. And therefore, everything we do is to speed up the process. And I think there's a lot to be done in that area.
Thank you. Ram, you spoke about the issues, and I think that one of the important elements which you're seeing, that all of you are busy implementing significant growth plans in each of your sectors. But the capital markets seem to be wary of the sector. Are there issues, and what are the issues? Is execution the issue? Ram, what do you think?
I think everything in infrastructure is an issue, right from the policy makers right down till the toll collector. So, but I think you need to have a response mechanism which addresses each of these in a manner in which you gain comfort and the counterparty gains comfort, and they see that you're adding some form of efficiency into what they were doing. I think today the mindset issue which was there when we started infrastructure is, I think, more or less settled. Like Krish said, the requirement of private sector participation in infrastructure is a given. I don't think there are any more issues on whether, there is a debate on whether private sector is required, not required. But we have issues of implementation, and as you rightly said, there is a problem in execution. We have to, when you work with the central government, you have to have a lot of state support, basically in the case of land acquisition. And some states cooperate, some states don't cooperate so well, and therefore, depending on which state you're operating at which point of time, because the politics of the center and state do come into effect when you're actually implementing projects at the state level. The second issue, which is besides land, is that till now I don't think capital has been scarce in the implementation of projects. We've been able to financially close most of our projects, probably because of the parentage that we have in IL&FS and the comfort that they're able to bring to the table. But in terms of execution, we are finding skilled manpower very, very difficult to actually hold on to, and also give them a sense of achievement when you're doing the same thing again and again. And I think that's becoming the most critical issue as far as we are concerned, that retaining manpower, getting new manpower, getting them into a culture that we have. But as you probably know, we don't construct roads ourselves. We are basically project managers, and we do operation and maintenance. So we always give out construction, and therefore you need a different skill set when you're actually supervising. But we've been able to hold on to most of the people that we've had for the last 10 years. And as long as we continue to feed this machine of implementation, I think we should be okay.